Alright, so far we have installed the rear motor mount and the passenger motor mount. I made sure to torque them all, make sure everything is in good shape. So now I'm gonna go ahead install the transmission motor mount. So the first thing that I'm gonna be doing is removing the battery, because the battery sits on top of the transmission motor mount. I've already disconnected the negative from before in order for me to install passenger side motor mount, because it has a ground. I'm gonna go ahead and disconnect the positive. Oh, this is tight. Okay, now I'm gonna remove the bracket using a 10mm deep socket. Remove this cover. Total of 3 clips. Remove the front cover of the battery box. That's one. There should be another clip on the bottom that's connecting the negative and positive. Now we remove the battery box. We're gonna go ahead and remove the 2 bolts that are right here. I'm assuming it's either 8 or 10mm. That is the bracket for the wires. And then we'll go ahead and remove these 4 bolts, which I'm assuming is 17mm. Should come off. Alright, so before I remove the 4 bolts, there is 2 more bolts right over here. These are also 10mm, so make sure you remove those as well. So now I'm gonna go ahead and remove the 17mm. I'm gonna be using my power tool for this job to make stuff faster. I'm gonna go ahead and remove that real quick because one of the brackets of the intake itself, it was on one of the bolts of the motor mount itself. So yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and try to remove this real quick. So I removed the intake box out of the way. So now I'm gonna go ahead and remove the plate, since we got all 4 bolts of the 17s on the side, and then the 2 bolts that were connected to this one, which was a 10, and then the 2 bolts right here, which was also a 10. Something fell. Let me grab that. Looks like some sort of a bracket, probably part of the mount. Trying to remove it with one hand. There it is. This is the plate that supports the battery. Now it looks like there's only 1 bolt holding this transmission mount. I'm gonna remove that. I made sure to support the transmission with the jack. I'm gonna go ahead and raise it a little bit higher. here is the bolt. Okay, bracket fell. This is for your wires for the battery. Here's the transmission mount. Alright, here it is. Transmission mount out. We're gonna go ahead and remove the 3 nuts right here. So we have 1, 2, and then there's another one right here. This is 3. In order to put the mounting bracket or the plate from CPE. So I remove one of your shifter link, if I'm not mistaken. So I pried it with a flathead screwdriver and popped it. That way I can have an access to remove that bolt right there. And we can go ahead and remove the 17. Grab this nut, grab this bolt. Yep, it's right there. There it is. So I should be able to remove this mount. And here it is. It looks like I have 4 pieces for the transmission mount for the OEM one. So we got the actual mount, we got the plate for your battery. This one I'm not sure, but it looks really heavy. It goes somewhere around here. This one is your bracket for your transmission mount. So here are your items for your transmission mount. On the CPE, you got your actual mount, you got your bracket, you got your plate as well, so 3 pieces. And then you have your hardware. Let's go ahead and assemble this. Okay, so I have a quick update. I was reading through the instructions on the CPE manual, and I found out that I'm going to be needing to remove one of the studs from the transmission itself. And the reason why is because this stud right here is interfering the plate, but basically not a whole lot. However, when you're installing your plate, it's actually sitting in an angle. So if I'm not mistaken, CPE wants me to remove this stud right here, and in order for me to remove the stud, I would use 2 of the 17mm nuts, which were sitting one right here and one right here. Basically, I would put the nut upside down like so. So putting the stud like this, and then I'll put the other stud or the nut onto the stud, tie in this, and then basically untie in this, and then the stud will loosen itself. So I'm gonna go ahead and give that a shot. I went ahead and tie in the 2 nuts, which is right over here. I used a 17mm wrench, and then I used my ratchet with the 17mm on the top, tighten as much as I can, and now to remove the stud, you just use the bottom one, and then try to twist as much as you can. So it's moving, but it's gonna be hard. It's like in a very weird angle, but you get the idea though. I went ahead and put the 8 Allen key or Allen screws into the mount. Basically, on every single screw, you will definitely need to put some red Loctite on each one of them. So I put on every single one of them. This is the last one. And make sure you tighten those as much as you can. I was able to remove finally the stud that sits closer to the firewall, and here it is right here. It was extremely difficult to remove the stud because, you know, it's been on to the transmission for a very long time. So I went ahead, actually put some PB Blaster, and it removed so easily. Like, I just waited for 5 minutes and then it just went so quick. So what you want to do is you want to put one nut upside down and the other one in regular. And then basically you just want to tighten it as much as you can, and then try to, you know, unbolt it, and then it just removes by itself. So now, and the reason why, actually, I just want to explain it real quick. The reason why we're removing the stud is so that when we place your engine mount, basically the stud is actually blocking the bolt. Let me try to explain it in light. Here is your engine mount. So it sits like this. Basically, this stud is blocking the hole right here. So when we want to basically place or install the top plate, this is going to be in the way. So that's the reason why we need to remove the transmission stud. I'm gonna go ahead, place this right here. Actually, before I place it, we need to place, what do you call this? It's like a thin plate, basically like an aluminum sheet. You place this first inside. See, so this sits first, and then you place your mount. So this is how it's gonna sit. CPE provided a bolt for your transmission mount. So you wanna use one of the washers, and then you put a bolt, and then basically you put the rest of the OEM bolts. Now we're gonna go ahead and put back the bolts. One nut goes right here. Oh, and before everything, make sure you put red Loctite, which I did. And then I put some right over there, which is right there. I'm gonna put 17 millimeter. Oh, actually, I have forgotten the washer that comes with it. That way I don't scratch the plate, if I'm not mistaken. Okay, now I'm gonna put the stock bolt. Just make sure to align it. Trying my best to use one hand. Okay, now it's trying to thread it. Oh man, I forgot about the washer again. Okay, let's try again. Put washer, place the bolt, then put another washer and place the new bolt that comes from CPE. I managed to install this 19 millimeter bolt, and then managed to install the 17 millimeter bolt right there, and then that one right there. And I torqued them down to 65 foot-pounds of torque. Now I'm gonna go ahead and install this right here. Pop it back in. We just need to put this plate on top. So let's go ahead and do that now. I went ahead and lowered the jack just a tight bit, just for me to put this bracket right here, because it wasn't aligning properly. So I lowered the jack a little bit, and this one, or this bracket, went through easy. Final step, I believe, grab this big bolt right here with the two washers, locking washer and a nut. That way we can attach it to the mount itself. Alright, so it is extremely hard to explain how I place the bolt, the long bolt that comes from CPE. Basically, there's two holes, one on each side. You put the bolt with the washer from this side right here, and then the washer, locking washer and nut goes from this side right here. I'm not sure if I'm able to get an angle for you guys, but it's supposed to look like something like this. I'm trying to see it through my camera. So here is one side. This side right here is your mount. This is your bracket, and you have to put the mount in between the bracket so that way you can bolt with the long bolt that comes from PPE. And then you put the washer, lock-in washer, lock-in washer, and then the nut, and then you try to tighten it as much as you can. It's really hard for me to torque it, so I just tighten it as much as I can. So now I'm gonna go ahead, place this battery plate on top the CPE mount, like so. Okay, like that, and then go ahead and tighten these right here. So you have two 17 millimeters. Final update is I basically put everything back together. So I put the battery bracket on top of the CPE bracket, and I tie in the four 17 millimeter nuts on each side, and then I put the 10 millimeter, two of them, and then the two 10 millimeter as well for the bracket of the wires. So everything should be done. Now I just need to put the battery box in the battery, put my intake back, and then connect the battery, and hopefully everything should be good. Alrighty everybody, that is it for today's video. If you liked watching what I did yesterday on installing all three motor mounts, make sure you go ahead and subscribe to my channel to see more parts being installed on the car. I was a little bit exhausted yesterday because installing all three motor mounts took a whole day, but today I was able to drive my car and it feels absolutely amazing. So the car feels very planted and it feels very strong, so I'm able to like shift from first to second in like in a second. There's very less torque steer. There is still torque steer, but it's very minimal right now, not like as before. The only con about having all three motor mounts is that there is lots of vibration in the cabin. Between the radio and the black pillar, there's like so much shaking in there. There is also like the rear view mirror, it's lots of shaking as well. The two side mirrors as well, it's a lot of vibration inside. So I don't think this is something for someone who wants to daily drive something like this, but for me, I don't mind, to be honest with you. So yeah, this is my feedback about the CPE motor mounts. I give it a solid 9 out of 10. I mean, the only con is just the vibration inside the cabin. So if you guys enjoyed watching this video, go ahead and subscribe to see more stuff on the Mazdaspeed build, and we'll see you guys next time. Take care.